3 weeks ago, I went to lunch with my college coach, Mr. Brad Hughes. And while we were at lunch, we discussed some of the things that were going on at my basketball academy. And while discussing the academy, the question arose, why is it that kids in the state of Montana get less scholarships than the kids in the inner cities or bigger states? While mulling over this question, we came up with 3 observations that kind of put clarity on the situation. The first observation is the fact that a lot of the kids, especially here in Bozeman, Montana, have parents who own businesses or are well off. So they pretty much will know all they have to do is graduate high school, graduate college with a business degree, and they walk right into their destiny. The second observation was the fact that there's not enough 24-hour gyms open here in the state of Montana. Therefore, kids are not allowed to work on their 10,000 hours that they need to master a craft. If you go to any major city in California, Texas, or Florida, you will find kids at a 24-hour fitness at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Friday or Saturday morning playing basketball. The third observation is the fact that some of the kids in these small town rural areas literally have to play on all 3 of their sports teams just in order to fill the sports team out. Now, when I left that lunch meeting, I still was not clear on why the fact kids did not get as many scholarships here as kids in other states. And as I walked and approached my car, my best friend from Memphis, Tennessee called me, who trains elite athletes in basketball. And I posed the same question to him that me and Coach Hughes had just discussed over lunch. And he told me something that stuck with me. He said, kids in Montana don't love the game of basketball. They like it. You see, kids in Memphis, Tennessee literally have to have the game of basketball to keep them off of streets, keep them out of gangs, keep them out of violence. And so they develop the love of basketball, and you and I both have loved something, whether it's our children, whether it's our wives, whether it's that brand new car that you bought. But you know that when you love something, you're willing to do anything to obtain it. It reminds me of a kid that I knew that came into the group home that I worked at 3 years ago. He was a Native American young man from Ronan. And at the beginning of the summer, he came to me and he said, Mecklen, I want to start on the freshman football team next year. You see, he knew that coming from Ronan, no one knew who he was in Bozeman. And so he asked me to help train him. So for the next 3 months, we worked an hour and a half on hand-eye movement, intense footwork drills, and we even got his strength and conditioning up. Needless to say, by the time he went into his freshman year, 3 weeks in, he had scored 5 touchdowns, and he was the captain of his freshman football team. Just like that young man in the story, he loved what he was doing. And I would like to think that if we could somehow light a fire under the student athletes here in Bozeman, Montana, and not just Bozeman, Townsend, White Sulphur Springs,